Well, as I say all the time, welcome back to Radio Entrepreneurs. My name again is Jeffrey Davis. And for those of you who think I do a podcast full time, well, sorry, no, that's not me. I'm also CEO of Mage, LLC, a management consulting firm since 1985, working with entrepreneurs and family businesses in the Boston area and nationwide and in Canada. Our next guest, Andrew Amigo, founder and CEO of Blackburn Energy. You know, Andrew, welcome to the show. I was reading your bio, quite interesting. So I'm looking forward to hearing about Blackburn Energy.
Well, thank you, Jeffrey. Thank you for having me today.
Right. I don't know how big my carbon footprint is, but I'm trying to keep it smaller.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a difficult thing to do, especially if you're in heavy trucking or, certain industries that just don't lend themselves to the easy solution of, switching over to an electric appliance.
Right, right. So tell us about the business and what you're doing and how it's growing. And it's all, I'm sure, very interesting.
Sure. So at Blackburn Energy, we've invented and patented a method of taking the wasted energy of a commercial vehicle. So we've all seen the tractor trailer truck coming down the road, coming down the highway. Well, those are 80,000 pounds, give or take, coming down a hill, rolling down the road. And essentially what we're doing is we're taking diesel fuel and we're burning it and emitting the carbon. And then when the truck has to slow down, we just throw all that energy away and then we rinse and repeat, and that cycle goes on and on again. So this is familiar if you've driven a hybrid or even an electric car, that notion of regenerative braking, capturing the energy of the vehicle and then putting it to use. In the big commercial world, however, you're not going to drive that truck on a little motor, right? So that's not going to work. So what we do is, instead of trying to make a hybrid drive system, we make a hybrid energy generation system, meaning we're just harvesting wasted energy. So we can harvest a lot of this wasted energy in the vehicle. We turn it back into electricity. We store it in batteries, and then we use that electricity in any number of use cases. We can actually electrify engine components. We can electrify auxiliary systems like lift gates and air conditioning, refrigeration, and all of this lowers your CO2 burn, your fuel burn. It can increase your miles per gallon. In one case, we're working with fleets that haul for some of the big auto manufacturers, and we're seeing over a 20% increase in their miles per gallon by using our technology. And again, we call this electrification, like commercial vehicle electrification, not electric vehicles, just electrifying everything on the vehicle we can and using a clean energy source to provide that electricity.
Well, it's all very interesting. I still would love to get it a little bit more practical. Who are the logical purchasers of what you're doing?
Sure. So we work with a lot of beer and food distribution to run lift gates. So if you've seen a local beer delivery truck, whether it's a tractor and a trailer or a big box truck delivering beer to a food store, to a restaurant, they usually run that engine the whole day long, their big 15-liter diesel engine, to lift the gate up and down so they can make their deliveries. We put in our electrification system. Now when they're at the restaurant or in their inner city, they're making a delivery, the engines go off, and we run the lift gate. So you get a lot of inner city delivery companies, a lot of food and beverage. We do work with AB InBev, and we're scaling with them. We're starting to scale with them. We work with a lot of Budweiser distributors, Miller Coors distributors. So that's a nice market for us on the liftgate side. And then we work a lot with long haul tractor trailer trucks, the long haul fleets that go across the country, delivering, it could be auto parts, it could be rugs, flooring, whatever the case may be. We electrify the sleeper cab. It's called the hotel load, where the driver actually sleeps in the back of the truck. We convert all that over to our clean electricity system. And then again, the diesel engines go off and the fuel use goes down and your CO2 footprint goes down. So those are our two basic customers. We also actually do a fair amount now with the U.S. Marine Corps, and we're building systems for the military. Very similar principle. They're referred to more as silent watch systems, meaning you drive the vehicle, we make a whole bunch of energy, store it in a huge battery array, and then they can be tactically operational without the engine on, meaning we run all of their systems, including heat, air conditioning, but also all of the systems that they need to run on our clean electricity instead of running the engine. That saves them a tremendous amount of fuel and gives them some tactical advantages too.
Wow, it's all kind of science fiction when I'm listening to it a little bit, and all in industries except for the defense industry that I've currently and have worked in. What's your path to getting to this point? Because it has to be quite unusual and different also. Because all entrepreneurs have their own special formula that gets them to where they are.
Yeah, I think that's true. I think everybody sort of who gets through this process has a background that's a little different than the person who takes a job and works, sort of the traditional path. For me, I've been in a lot of different industries and done a lot of different things. I started out very much in the trades. My father and family were in the trades, a lot of trucking, a lot of truck driving. Heavy equipment. We were roofing contractors and bricklayers, and went off to did all that, and then went off to university. Was a philosophy major. One of my majors was in philosophy, and then, went to grad school, master's degree, went corporate for a bunch of years. I had always had this thing sort of, I get hooked on something and then I pursue it. So I got hooked on wanting to understand things like international criminal law. I wanted to understand the Holocaust. I wanted to understand war crimes. So I actually spent quite a few years, working in that field. Worked at the UN with an NGO, helped start an NGO, and negotiated the International Criminal Court treaty statute for we did that for about 3 or 4 years. Had some success there. Then ended up going corporate. Was in corporate for a long time and found myself after years of being in corporate life and doing a bunch of different things in a venture group. And it was a great time for me because it's sort of, I got to do some inventing. I got to start to build things again. And then but I was also on the corporate side doing investing. We were investing in ChargePoint back when it was called Coulomb. We were looking at vehicles of the future. And that's where all these things sort of started to coalesce for me around these ideas, because we were working with trucking and telematics. And so it was sort of some of the old, some of the new. And then after the next financial crisis, that all got shut down. And I said, I've had enough of the corporate world. I really like the startup world, and I jumped back into the startup world. And then I finally said, I've had this idea. I got it sitting in traffic, watching trucks go by me. I remember right where it was. It was on the Mass Pike trying to get to 84. And the trucks are just rolling by, and I see the spinning drive shaft. And I said, I can make energy from that. And I started taking notes, and then it all just sort of clicked together for me. And everything in my past from, working as a mechanic and driving trucks and operating equipment, and then, the venture stuff and the inventing and all of it all sort of came together into what I ended up eventually calling Blackburn Energy. And now, we're globally patented. I think we just issued in all of Europe. So I think we're up to 15 patents in 11 countries or something. 19 patents in 11 countries. We're working with some really big companies now. General Motors, AB InBev. We're working with the Marine Corps. So there's a lot of really good things that are starting to happen, but that doesn't mean it's not a struggle. It's still very much a hard day's work every single day, fighting for survival at times and trying to get to the next level.
What a great entrepreneurial story. And if I would have taken pieces of your background, I never would have been able to have guessed that you would have filed patents. Do you have partners? Have you self-funded this business all by yourself?
So I self-funded for a long time. In the early days, I had the idea, it was sort of a paper idea. And then I know it's a cliche, I went to the barn and started hacking things together. And I have some basic skills. I'm no great, fabricator, but, I made up the first couple of systems, bought an old truck, took it apart a million times, eventually broke that truck, literally broke it in half, cutting it and trying to figure out all these different things. And then after some time, I brought in another person to help me raise the initial sort of venture. It was really angel money. And we got up and running. We launched in 2019, got up a nice head of steam, ran into the pandemic. And then I had to do a series of fundraising efforts, working like crazy hours during the pandemic to keep the company alive. So we've now come through a Series A. We've raised just under 6 million to date. We're in the market now for another round. We've used up that series. The Series A closed in December of 21, so we're long past that money. been living mostly on the revenue we've been able to generate, which is at times great, and at times, it's still not a smooth revenue growth story. So we have been living on our own revenue. We are looking now for growth capital. We have another contract with the government, with the Marine Corps. Looks like we're moving towards production. So there's a lot of good stuff going on, but we're still very much looking for capital and partners and trying to grow and scale to the next level.
Well, Andrew, it's quite a story. I'm sure there's a lot more. So maybe we'll have you back again to give us more details on what you're doing. Quite exciting in its total story. If someone's looking for you, actually maybe interested in helping you get some funding or whatever, use the products that you have, how do they find you?
So the best way is just send me an email. It's andrew.amigo, AMIGO, at blackburnenergy.com. But you can also find us on the social channels, and our website, of course, is blackburnenergy.com. But email's the best for sure.
Well, Andrew, thanks for being on the show today. Continued success. I know it's not easy to build a business like this, but if you can do it, it's quite exciting. And remind everybody more exciting stories to come on Radio Entrepreneurs.